You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, YNR fans, we've got a few spoilers for the week of October 14th with Audra chasing payback and Daniel in big trouble with the local police. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and let's dive into what is ahead for next week. A few huge spoilers in advance of our full weekly spoilers video that we'll have for you tomorrow. So the setup for this first spoiler about Daniel is that Chance comes to his place this Friday after his chat with Sharon, where she tried to set up Daniel over that evidence she planted at his place. Chance asks Daniel about Sharon telling him that Heather said she and Daniel argued the night that she died. She said they had a fight. Chance has to follow up on it, and Daniel is basically saying it's ridiculous because Heather would never open up about personal things to Sharon. Like literally anybody in Genoa City would tell Chance that. So Daniel tells Chance, yeah, Heather and I had some recent issues because of losing our jobs. We were debating maybe moving away from town, and then Lily was acting out. Standard parental challenges dealing with a teen, culminating in that car wreck, and then a whole bunch of stress from Sharon coming after all of them and getting aggressive. Chance followed up with questions about whether Heather might be seeing another man, and Daniel's like, no. Chance insists a boyfriend might explain the stranger with her phone with the passcode, and Daniel's like, I'm telling you, man, no. And Chance says maybe that's who Heather was meeting at the river. I mean, I can see it from Chance's point of view. It would explain how Heather got to the river with her car left at the apartment building and no rideshare thing done. It's valid for a cop to be asking this, but Daniel insists what Sharon said was strange and that, as far as he knew, she had not even been at the apartment that night. And then Chance wanted to search the apartment, and Daniel said no. As you should do, you should always have a lawyer, and you should never let somebody search your place without a warrant and without witnesses, stuff like that, because you just don't know. But it sure sounds like Chance goes and he gets a warrant, because next week, Chance is chatting with Summer, and he tells her he found some disturbing evidence in Heather and Daniel's apartment. And of course, it's the bloody rags, Heather's phone, and Heather's keys. And Chance is telling Summer that things don't look good for your brother right now. Talk about a conflict of interest. It's always like this when there's police involved on a soap because they don't have a full cast of characters like on, Law and Order, stuff like that. Chance's prime suspect is his girlfriend Summer's brother. He should not be on that case. All right, next spoiler. We've got scenes with Jack Abbott and Audra Charles next week that are huge. So just to set the stage for this spoiler, from this Friday's episode, Jack is talking to Claire. She drops by the Abbott mansion to pick up something for Harrison and winds up having this very intense and informative chat with Jack that is so critical to this storyline. Jack is telling her that Kyle is behaving badly and it is her grandpa Victor's influence. He's leading Kyle down a dark path so bad that he is worried his son may never come back from it. And Claire wants to hear more about it, but before he dives in, Jack warns her, if I tell you this, you're never going to look at Victor the same way again. But Claire still wants to hear because she is very worried. She tells him that the way that Kyle was behaving, setting up Audra for a firing and then taking such joy from her downfall really triggered Claire. It reminded her of her awful Aunt Jordan. Huge red flags. So Jack tells Claire a tale of a decades-old feud and says, business is one thing. People play dirty in business, but Victor always makes things personal. He always targets the Abbott family. Jack said he'd be okay if Victor targeted just him, but this is just too much. And he says Victor's ruthless, and Claire has not seen that side of him. She admits it, but at the same time, she believes Jack. She's been around the Abbotts a lot. She knows them. She knows the vibe they give off. And Claire actually wants to help Jack with this Victor-Kyle problem. But Jack says no, and Claire insists. So Jack mentions to Claire that he thinks Victor is the mystery investor in Glaad, the company that she knows Kyle is running, and that he thinks it's all part of this twisted vendetta. That's all important because it sets the scene for this spoiler for next week. You'll remember after Victor fired Audra because Kyle stole that product for Glaad, she promised Kyle she would get payback for his dirty tactics. And Kyle, of course, is so smug lately and his ego is writing checks. I don't know if he's going to be able to cash. And he said, I already took it. Nothing you can do. But the week of October 14th, Audra sits down to talk to Kyle's dad, Jack. And remember, he already is quite certain that Kyle is the one that stole their new product. He just needs evidence, and he's already warned Kyle that he will take this to court, like civil, criminal, he can do both. So Audra tells Jack point blank, yes, Victor Newman is the silent investor behind the purchase of Glaad when she maneuvered it away from Tucker McCall. And Audra confirms, yes, Victor is the one who has been pulling Kyle's strings for quite a while, and this confirms all of Jack's worst suspicions. All right. Last spoiler, it's for next Friday, October 18th, which is the day of the special 30th anniversary episode for Michelle Stafford as Phyllis Summers. Phyllis is going to be spending time in the park with her grieving granddaughter, Lucy Romalotti, and Phyllis asks her if she'd like to know more about her grandmother. And just when I saw this spoiler for just a second, I was kind of excited thinking, wouldn't it be great if somebody told Lucy about her other grandma, the one that's even crazier than the one who's in town? Of course, that's Sheila Carter. But no, Phyllis is talking about herself as usual. She tells Lucy that she has got some stories to tell her. Just as we saw on Sharon Case's 30th anniversary episode, we're going to get flashbacks. I definitely expect to see Phyllis versus Sharon flashbacks with their rivalry and intensity over the years. And all that, of course, is about to kick into high gear because Sharon murdered Heather, which has traumatized Lucy and Daniel both. And then Sharon set up Phyllis's son Daniel to go down for her crime. I think this should be a pretty good episode, especially for a standalone anniversary episode. I think we're going to get more action than just flashbacks. And with Sharon Case's anniversary, it moved a few things forward. I feel like for this episode, it's going to move at a faster pace on the front burner storylines. We'll know next Friday.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.